schedule.
I have that here too, that I can bring up. Just give me one.
I'm not dealing with the schedule
please.
right now, just as far as approving last month's minutes, we didn't
Oh,
have a
okay.
meeting.
All right.
I'm just
All right.
suggesting that maybe we make a motion that we accept these notes from the meeting that didn't happen, just so that it's on record what we did while waiting for a quorum.
So moved.
Thank you, Sue. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Amanda. Okay, if there's any further discussion,
I have a quick question.
go ahead.
The notes say a motion was made and seconded to adopt the 2021 meeting schedule. Will this affect that at all?
No, it won't, because it was a motion made in error. We all were under the incorrect understanding that 4 constituted quorum when it really didn't.
Okay.
So we just want that on file so that people know that we didn't do anything because we realized we didn't have a quorum. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? Abstaining?
I abstain, I guess. This is regarding the minutes from the 14th. Did I get that right?
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you prefer
you
to
have to
keep them,
abstain.
call them notes or something, since they aren't technically minutes.
Right.
Okay, so let's move on to our next item then. Let's approve this. Actually, I don't have the agenda up in front of me. Can we see the agenda again? Is it to do the meeting schedule?
Correct.
So this is the proposed meeting schedule for 2021, including tonight, obviously, but it's a special meeting.
I know at our last non-meeting, we discussed not having a December meeting.
Which
Okay.
you certainly can do if you want. If you wanted to go forward with this, you could adopt it as amended with the deletion of the December 13th meeting, if that's what you guys wanted to do.
Yeah, it seems like we'd do better having it on the schedule and then just canceling the meeting if we don't have business, or if we just decide we don't want to do that on the 13th, no matter what.
True.
Does that work for you, Amanda?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the 2021 meeting schedule as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I'm just trying to, I didn't have time to see this and look at it, so I don't know if I'm available for all these dates.
Pat, once you put it together with the same second Monday of the month as per your normal schedule. The only change on here to be aware of is that October meeting, because we bumped up against the Columbus Day holiday, so she moved it to the first Monday of the month.
How you making out, Mike?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I think I'm good. Yes, I'm good.
Okay. Do we?
Thank you.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of accepting the schedule as presented, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. The motion carries. All right. Is that all we had for old business at this time, Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. We have discussion of townwide Wi-Fi with Northwest COG. I believe Lissa was going to follow up on that, maybe. Oh, you're on there. Do we
I was
have
looking
any?
into that as well.
You were, okay, I
Yeah.
couldn't remember. Does anyone have anything to report?
Well, I don't have notes in front of me, but I did go onto their website. I think I sent an email, but I never heard back from anyone. It looks like right now that particular organization does not. We're not in their area. This is the northwestconnect.org. It lists several towns, but Thomaston is not one of them. I'm sure if we really showed interest, they would probably put us in, but at this moment, we're not part of that regional group.
Well, I can't remember his first name, Morisani, who represents Morris, I believe,
Yeah.
had, he seemed he was pretty knowledgeable, but he also thought it would work very well in Thomaston, that we would fit into that. So,
I think if we kind of slot right into the puzzle, if we really want, for some reason we're just not listed, but
right.
I'm sure if we said, hey guys, we'd like in.
Right, and the fact that we're part of the Northwest COG,
right.
Seems to me that might be the hook for that anyway.
So I do have a couple of quick comments on this. So I now, on top of looking at their website, I had heard that there was another private entity that's in Hartford right now, and it's in Bristol.
That's the one you sent last week?
Yes, based on demand, if they have enough people inquiring, going to their website and inquiring about their services, they will look into providing their services for that municipality. Like I said, right now they are in Hartford and they are expanding in Bristol. Really all it takes is for people to go to their website, and if they see good counts where people would be interested in using their services, they would bring the fiber optics into town.
So how does that differ from what Morisani and this was suggesting? What this?
It's a very different process with regards to really the whole idea is to how it's, I don't want to say regulated, but how it's distributed. So the northwestconnect.org, they're looking at the fiber optic cables as a utility in which the town of Thomaston would bond out and build the infrastructure and own the infrastructure. And then Thomaston would go out to bid for service providers, or anyone. I think at that point, anyone can use their own service provider. They'd pay a small monthly fee at like a utility,
right.
Like you pay for your phone or
the way I was
Alexa
getting it from Morisani is that it was some sort of, by the town doing this, that you would then be able to bid out who's providing, and probably
exactly
provide a much more affordable Wi-Fi to all the residents and businesses in Thomaston.
Right. What I guess the idea would be that the town would bid out to service providers. If certain service, there could be more than one, I guess, but the service providers, if they met the criteria from the town, would be able to introduce their services to the residents, and they would be billed, so for those services. So just like your electric bill, you have fees for providing the service, and then you have fees for transmission of the service. It'd be something to that effect. I don't know if it would be two separate bills or if it would all be billed on one. But that's a different scenario than a private entity building the infrastructure and providing the service. That's the difference.
Mike, if Thomaston owns the lines, who's responsible to maintain them and repair them?
I would believe that would be I don't know if that's part of the whole regional piece where they would provide staffing and build that, or if each individual town would be responsible for their own lines. I'm not really sure how that works.
Mike, this is Lisa. I think that each town is responsible for their
Yeah.
own stuff.
Is that how you saw it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And just doing the little bit of research that I was able to do.
Yeah.
There's another, there was some other information that I came across. The town of Wyndham was trying to do something too, but what they were looking at was really just like hotspot devices in different locations. And then the people would have to be within, a certain range in order for them to be able to log on to that. So, obviously in Thomaston, that's not going to work. I mean, it could work in the downtown area for, a few buildings, but in most of the residential neighborhoods, it wouldn't work.
Right. I think this is interesting. I mean, I think things are going to change dramatically in the next, I'll say 3 years, from what I'm gathering, just because it looks like the private companies are now starting to really gear up and bring this technology forward. Obviously, it's going to be a slower process because it's all supply and demand, that it has to be demand in order for them to bring it in. But
yeah, I mean, the interesting thing now, with the pandemic, a lot of the wireless companies, a lot of the cell phone companies are offering, either free or reduced service for a lot of places. And then, for the schools, they offered something else, some of them, so if they can offer, I forget what it was. I was reading that one of them is offering, 30 megs per second to homes, that have students in high school, in grade school or high school, and college students, for a certain length of time for no cost.
wow.
And so I was like, okay, if they can offer that speed at no cost because of this, they could offer that speed all the time for all of us at, a reduced cost.
Right.
So anyway, it was just interesting that, to read all of that information.
They're probably looking at it considering what their profits are right now, that they have the room to absorb that.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing of it is that the infrastructure is already there, right? So, they're making money now.
Right. In a big way, but that is about to change. I think you're seeing the existing entities and the existing technologies are starting to get a little nervous, realizing that between 5G and fiber optic, they're starting to feel the squeeze, I think.
The way I understood it is that what you would install with the fiber optics would probably have a 40-year life expectancy on it or something like that, which is, fairly considerable. Now, whether, they probably require multiple upgrades during that time.
It is. I think, did you read that on the website as well? Listen, I recall reading something to that effect. I
don't remember seeing anything on the life expectancy. And honestly, we have fiber at our office, and I don't remember them ever talking about a, life expectancy of the equipment, but I'm sure there is one, just like anything else. But is that planned obsolescence or is it actual?
Well, I think they're kind of taking, when you look at things like cable television that's being strung through utilities or phone lines that are more so, those are, they have quite a long life expectancy, and they've found ways to adapt them into additional. When cable first came up, it was just coax. It was running television services. Now it has telephone and internet services built into all sorts of data built into that same wires. So they've adapted those wires to last a long time. And now we're kind of at the end of cable and saying, we instead of cable, we really just all need fiber optics and eliminate the cable lines.
Maybe we could invite Mr. Morrisani to be on our next Zoom meeting.
Well, I'm wondering that, or do we want to have, Mike and Alyssa have done some investigating. Do we want to do a little bit more of a committee to meet with them and discuss it with them and maybe COG and whatnot and report back? I'm not sure how much time we want to spend as an entire commission discussing, and maybe we will at some point, but first just let's.
I think it would be helpful if we could get more information from a little bit from some more people, and Mike, maybe you and I could try and set up a Zoom meeting with a couple of these other places. Like, I was going to reach out to Wyndham and see if I can get in touch with someone there to see if they've done anything more with it.
I could reach out to that private company as well. See what their
I would wonder
is.
too what's with the Northwest COG. I mean, if they're actually involved with doing it here and they provide more information with, or Asani, it was just a phone conversation, but I suspect Northwest COG has a lot of written information that they can provide to us.
Yeah, and I know, so my daughter goes to school in Virginia, and I know there's some pretty rural areas down there, and they actually, it's not wireless, but it is high-speed broadband, and they're actually implementing that now. And again, it's these companies are national, so I could try and see if I can get more information from them. I know the college, I think, was part of that system, or was going to tag onto the system, so I can see if there's somebody at the college that could get me, give me more information to see what they did down there.
Yeah, how does everybody feel on this? I feel like it's an important element moving forward for Thomaston if we have this type of capability, both for our residential and our business users, that it's one more arrow in our quiver to attract people to Thomaston.
We will definitely be ahead of the curve if we can find a way to bring fiber optics.
I agree.
And maybe the town bonding it might not be the ultimate answer, because obviously that's a pretty big step. But I think there's several other approaches that we might be able to take, but trying to encourage that would be helpful.
I think looking at all the options is a good exercise, Jeff.
Okay, so it sounds like the two of you guys are willing to proceed with this, and I'll leave it up to you guys to look at it and maybe have something else for next month. Just circling back to old business, I realized that in our December meeting, we had minutes to approve for the November 9th meeting, and if we didn't have a quorum, we didn't approve those minutes either. Stacy, I don't know if you have those.
Let me get that for you.
Available. I have them here if you need them.
That's what like that. Okay, got it. Hang on one second. There you go.
Thank you. Looks like Matt was not available, but everybody else was. So take a moment to look it over and entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a second?
Second.
And is there any discussions on this? Not hearing any. All in favor of accepting? Aye.
Aye.
And I'll abstain.
Okay. Are there any nays? Okay, it passes with one abstention. Thank you, Stacy. Just while we're on these minutes, I'm reading some of the things that are in there, which, let's see. Since we don't have it in other places, we should probably take up some of the business that was in the November meeting that may still be on the table. For example, we had discussions of tax incentives for
Yes.
various locations.
Yeah, and I do have some updates around some of that too.
Is that coming in staff reports?
I could do it wherever you'd like.
All right, well, why don't we move on to staff reports then? We can take it up there.
Okay. I think I told you last month, well, not everybody was here, but George LeCapra did get his paperwork in to DECD, and they were reviewing his preliminary application. They understand that the town considers his application to be high priority for the enterprise zone. So it is in process of being reviewed. So that's where that is. And I am going to be, I told Lisa this earlier, I'm going to be the squeaky wheel on that, periodically checking in and, hey, how things are going, because honestly, my contact over there said to do that. So I do intend to do that. So that is him. I have not heard from Mike Panett, however, have had some email back and forth discussions with Daryl Maslak, and he actually stopped in with a lot of paperwork today that was very helpful. And I think we're close to figuring out and resolving the tax abatement paperwork for the River Street property. And we talked out what sort of stuff we were going to need in terms of an application for North Main Street. So I made some suggestions of some more things that we needed to get for them. He was going to go back, get that all together, bring it back within it didn't sound like it was going to be too long, maybe a week or so. And I think we're moving forward to a point where he could look into getting a full package together for your review and for the Board of Selectmen to consider. So that'll hopefully be resolved, which would be nice. He also mentioned to us some potential new occupants in another one of his properties that actually is in the enterprise zone. So we talked over the process for that. And as he knows more there, he's going to get information to me. And again, we had a great conversation in terms of what we needed to get as we're moving along. So we're not in a similar situation later where we're trying months or years down the line to recreate what happened in the past, that we'll have what we need as we're going along. So that's a possibility going on as well. I had CC'd Mike Maddow, like we had agreed on that. And I also forwarded over to him, and I'm not sure if you heard anything, Mike. I haven't heard anything since. But there's a landscaping company that had gotten, they had needed a variance to expand their facility on, oh, I'm drawing a blank now, on the other side of Route 8. And they were asking for some information. So while I was talking with them about what they needed for that, I let them know, hey, there's a good chance what you're doing could also potentially qualify for the tax abatement. And if so, here's what you need. And here's, you know, the paperwork, and he let me know. And then I had given them Mike's contact information as well, if they had any questions and if they wanted to proceed. I haven't heard anything further. But I would say that from what I've seen from their application, I think that they could qualify for something. And so that might be a conversation to be struck up. We have, I was contacted just today by someone who's going to be looking to open a pet grooming business right next door to Sue. And we went over her plans, pretty straightforward. We have a auto repair place and a small high-end vehicle dealership who's going to be looking to come in. Both of them, they're two separate things, and both are going to be going into spaces that were previously used for a similar purpose. They do still need a location approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals in order for me to sign off on state DMV paperwork. I'm not anticipating any issues with it, but there's two potential new businesses coming in. One into the Fletcher building on East Main Street and another one on South Main Street. So those are some people coming in. And
There was some texting or emailing going on last week, I believe, concerning the property on East Main Street and the improvements to doing siding and windows and various things like that. And Mike, I think you might have said, is this something that would qualify for tax incentives?
Right.
I must have missed that one. If so, I apologize. I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, it's the commercial building on the corner of Electric Ave and East Main Street.
I am familiar with the siding. I wasn't sure what else they were doing. To my knowledge, it was only the siding.
I think they own the property next door as well. I'm not sure if they're doing any renovation to that building.
Okay.
I don't know if that's all considered one property or if that's two separate properties, but.
Well, I know they were doing, they're doing siding and window. I noticed that they're replacing all the windows. I don't know what else they're doing inside or if there's any roofs or anything to that. But, you know,
Right.
They're both commercial properties. Are they owned separately or are they all one parcel?
That's what I'm not sure of.
I'd have to maybe speak with you offline. I do know of another business that may potentially be going in that general area. I don't know if it's that exact building, but that general area, a retail sort of situation.
Okay.
Do we know what kind of retail, Stacy?
He is, it's firearm sales.
Oh, okay.
Very small from what I understood, but they wanted to check out whether or not there were any particular requirements for the zone or anything that pertained. And I explained, as long as you weren't operating an actual range or anything, then it's retail.
All right, so maybe we can follow up with that a little bit more if there's, and they may not reach the threshold based on what they're doing, but it does look like they're doing quite a bit to that property.
Okay, I'll double check.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a historic building. It's great that they're, fixing it up. It certainly needs it.
And the Thomaston Beautification Committee used to do beautification awards each year and hand out to people. I don't think they do anything like that anymore, but kind of a neat idea to think about when you look at some of the properties that have had some turnarounds over the years, kind of along the lines with our business recognition.
Agreed.
Be a simple thing to give them a little plaque or a write up in the paper or something
A
about it.
little attaboy, yeah.
That was a long time ago. That was like probably 30 plus years ago.
I think it was 30 years ago. Yeah. So now we're showing our age.
Yeah, well,
As far as other business to discuss here, Wi-Fi, enterprise.
I will be putting out, oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I will be putting out my monthly. There's a couple of pieces of information with regard to the PPP loans and a couple other things that I'll be putting out in my monthly e-blast. But if there's anything else you wanted me to get in there, by all means, let me know.
Well, the one thing I was going to say is I haven't put the parking survey out that we discussed a few months ago. And part of it is I just didn't get around to it. But also, I'm using the free version of SurveyMonkey, and someone was offering me access to a paid version, which would allow me to generate reports. So I was just going to look into what it took to put that into the paid account, and therefore maybe get us a little better information coming out of it. So I will try to put that on my agenda over the next couple of weeks. Is that something we would want to? I don't think we'd want to put that into the newsletter anyways. It's really just asking the people who are directly affected by parking downtown.
I mean, if you want, I could throw a blurb in there saying it's coming and should you get it, please fill it out kind of thing. It helps us.
Yeah, maybe something directed towards downtown landlords and commercial property owners, businesses, things like that. That if that we're putting together a survey, and if they'd like to participate, to reach out to your office or to me, something along those lines. Get them the links. I think I'm going to guess who the people are, but I may not know them all.
Hey, can we just go back to business recognition for a second? You mentioned that.
Yep.
I just had a thought pop up. What if we were to recognize, businesses based on the number of years they've been in town? So, maybe it's like milestone, years, 10 years, 25, I don't know, whatever we decide.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I know the business recognition that was planned for 2020 had to be postponed, canceled, whatever. Maybe we could also recognize those businesses that are celebrating one of those milestone dates in that same year at that same event.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Certainly if you start going back 35, 40 years, there's only a couple that are, still in place. Dave Barbarat always jokes that he's the senior merchant in Thomaston with Stanley Shoes closing. So
right. So maybe, but so even so, like a place like Patty's, right? So she's owned that forever, but it's been there for, longer than probably most of us have been alive.
Yeah.
So, maybe we recognize her length of service, but we also recognize it as sort of a business that's been part of our town for, X number of years.
how would you determine that?
Well, we'd have to ask the business owners, or we could probably look at, whatever their ownership status is. Stacy, you would probably have access to that, right?
To a certain extent, yes.
I mean, we could probably go through and make a list of some of them. I mean, when you're looking, in downtown, it's Dave Barbarat, it's Patty's, it's Red's Hardware. Go to the other side of town, Johnny Pisano, the bowling alleys. And there's a whole lot.
And maybe it's a simple email to them saying, hey, we'd like to recognize that, the number of years you've been in town, let us know how long you've been in business. We'd like to provide recognition, at these different milestones or something.
We
And
only
for,
talk-
All right, so why don't we make our lives easier on this, or consider it anyways? What if we were to reach out to the local writer of the Waterbury paper, who's ever writing the local section, and suggest that they do something, let's just say monthly, that is recognizing businesses for their longevity and whatnot. And it could be something that we would give to them, maybe start with the oldest and then start working our way through. In the article, you could ask people to submit any ideas that they had for suggestions or ideas that they had. And that way, once a month, we would have Thomaston written about, we would have a local business written about, and we wouldn't have to do too much of the work.
does anyone have any contacts at the newspaper?
Yeah. We used to have somebody we worked with, he retired, but I have dealt with somebody else since, who I think is now going to cover our general area.
Was it Kurt Moffett that retired?
Yes.
Okay.
But when we were, before the holidays, when we were doing the Light Up Thomaston and mentioning the show that you were doing at the Opera House, I worked with her and she was very nice and very eager to get something from us to put in the paper.
Yeah, I got to think, feeding them something like this, where we would actually give them the leads and the connections. All they have to do is take a picture and write a story.
Yeah.
That seems like a no-brainer for everybody. It helps increase readership. It helps us promote our people in town.
Feels good. Yep.
Are we only talking retail?
No.
No,
No, I don't see-
everyone.
We could make that a topic for our agenda and select, maybe sometimes it's manufacturers or.
There's plenty of manufacturers that
Yeah,
have been around
No,
for a long time.
I think we recognize everyone. Sue, you've been a realtor in town for how long? And I'm not saying it's every year, right? Or every month. Maybe
why not make it a column every month where,
well, yeah,
we
if
could
they're
select
willing-
12 businesses this
Featured
year,
business of the month. Yeah.
and then
yeah,
next year
if
select
they're
12
willing
more.
to do it,
Yeah.
if they're willing to do it, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. It's been my experience with the reporters, they're really dying to find information to write about. It's so hard to find interesting and original stories. So I think these would actually create a pretty big interest for readers. And, let's face it, an EDC meeting or a Board of Finance meeting is not all that exciting to read about most days.
Yeah, I just feel like if there's
Speak for
something
yourself.
that we could, I feel like if there's something
Riveting.
we can do to help promote our businesses in town, that's another way to promote them.
Yeah.
And get them recognition that, maybe there's new people in town who don't even know about them.
There's probably plenty of people you don't know about.
Definitely. I'm still
Do you think
discovering.
do you think the assessors would have any clue as to how long they were been in business?
I think for some of it they will. I don't know that for all of it, and I think it's definitely one tool in the arsenal to find out all of that.
And a lot of it, we won't be perfect. You might, say, hey, businesses that have been around for 40 years, and you list a bunch of them and you miss one. Well, then we add that one into the next group of articles that we do and say, oh, this was one that was missed and we overlooked. But, you kind of want to get the longest surviving businesses recognized sooner rather than later, because again, each business has a certain life to it, so you want to get them recognized while they're still there.
You'll probably find some over 100 years.
Maybe not the original owners, though, right?
Well, Thomaston Savings,
Right.
for one, but would imagine manufacturers have been around
Well,
since.
Edward Siegel is one, Reynolds Carbide, there's a lot of
Mhm.
manufacturers that have been around our entire lives, so.
A lot of
Brown
those have been
metal.
around since I was a kid. That's quite a long time. Hmm.
And,
I
it does
just-
help build a written history of our manufacturing and our retailing and everything that people will enjoy going back to look at years later.
Yeah, I just
Well-
feel like some of those people who have been in town forever don't really ever get any recognition.
All right, well, you know what my next question is gonna be?
Yeah, who's gonna do it?
Who would like to work on that?
Ooh.
I mean, to me, I feel like, Stacy has the list of business emails, right? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe we could just send a simple email asking them for, how long have they been in business? And then I can take that list, if she gets those responses back, I could take that information and I'm willing to compile it.
Yeah, I think Jen and I can definitely be a place to start. And if you needed to go out and double check and, hey, we want to make sure we didn't miss anybody,
So if we're doing the
we
new,
missed you, please let us know. We can definitely do that. And then let's can go from there with it.
so if you're doing the newsletter, maybe that's where we start by putting something into the newsletter that EDC is working on identifying and recognizing the accomplishments of businesses over the years.
And how long they've been a part of our town.
Yeah.
Send us a quick note, email or whatever, and maybe just keep an email file if nothing else. See if people respond that way. And again, if we're doing it once a month, I mean, we need 12 really good ones for this year. If we miss a couple and once it starts coming on, oh, you missed this one, that one, well, those are the people we put into year two's worth of press releases, right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to miss anybody. So, if we
Stacey.
inadvertently, we're happy to make you the feature next time.
Stacy, if you're going to put that into the newsletter, I got the perfect headline.
Okay.
How old, in big bold letters, how old are you? Question mark. That'll get their attention, then they can read everything.
Okay.
You're going to say, why are they asking that?
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Any other discussions on this? Let's move on then. What's next on our agenda?
Oh, do I still have it up? Here, let me see.
You're finished with the staff report, I assume.
Yeah.
Okay, so the business relations, is there anything additional on business relations that we haven't covered? Hearing nothing, we move
Oh,
on.
no.
No? And we talked a little bit about the downtown development and parking, which I am going to follow up on. If there's anything else that people wanted to bring in there. Was there any other business to bring to EDC today?
Well, just really quick on that, and not that it's anything urgent. P&Z at their meeting last week voted to recommend to the Board of Selectmen to accept and I'm having another senior moment here. The street over, where the work was done, and then we realized that the town did not actually own the street.
Oh, yeah.
Goodwin Court, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so P&Z did ultimately make a favorable recommendation to the Board of Selectmen, which they will be sending a letter to you, making that official, but to have the town accept that as a town street. And one of the factors in that was that it was, partially within the area of the downtown development district. And so therefore they felt important for the town to officially have oversight of that street.
Was the property owner advocating for that, Stacy?
The understanding that I have from the attorney was that those along the street owned to the center of the street, and it wasn't discovered until the work was being done to completely resurface it.
Right.
But that the argument could be made that it was, while not officially accepted as a town street, the argument could be made that the town has been maintaining it for so long that this is just kind of a de facto sort of thing. However, when it does get on the Board of Selectmen's agenda, my understanding is every single property owner along Goodwin Court will be notified so that they can have the opportunity to say
Goodwin
anything that
Court.
they may wish to say.
All right.
And so what happens if somebody objects?
Well, the reality is maintaining a street, even a short one like Goodwin Court, is pricey. And the town has taken it over. The town has had access through that. The public has had access through that. There's been no effort that anybody could locate in terms of anybody trying to prevent anybody from the general public using the street.
Yeah, the issue with it is that the one owner in Doc White's old house owns half of the street. And so it's an easement going through. So it really doesn't affect the other land owners on the other side of the street if the town takes it over, but it would affect it if somehow it went to private ownership, and then who would be responsible for plowing and maintaining the roads and all that.
Correct.
We did have a meeting on that in the selectmen's meeting 2 months ago, 3 months ago, something like that, where all the people of that street basically showed up because there was a suggestion of changing the direction of the street to a one-way street, and they let us know in no uncertain terms they did not want that changed. Just a final note, I am also working on it for the selectmen, the potential of getting a video communication system for our meeting room or rooms, where we would have a big screen TV, camera, and microphones, so that future meetings could be held, even Zoom meetings could be held with a live panel, and people could Zoom in or watch via YouTube or something.
Excellent.
Similar to the way Stacy's doing it now, but with a little bit more technology attached to it.
It would be great, yeah.
It would be, and I'm looking at it. It's a little bit pricey, so I got to convince the town that it would be worthwhile doing. But I think even if we had one on a wheeling cart, that the big screen comes in with all the components, you plug in and it's good to go. Whether it's in meeting room 1, Lena Morton, or anywhere else, you have that one unit that can be signed out each night. Did anyone else have anything else to bring to the meeting? Stacy, do we have any public on the meeting tonight?
Let me double check. I'm not aware of any that were going to come. Nope, it does not look like it.
Okay. Without any additional business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. All those in favor, sign off, please. We'll talk to you all later. Thank you very much.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, guys.